Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gaming Telecom video. Is it possible Nintendo are going to go back to cartridges? Now, before you write this off and think, well, that's just no way in hell are they going to do that, there are a timeline of events. We're going to go into the latest ones in just a moment, but first of all, I'm going to take you back just over a month ago. In early May this year, Macronix had put out a statement in a financial report that they were expecting higher demand for NOR flash, and it would potentially be linked to new Nintendo hardware, although that was somewhat omitted in the statement. They had supplied chips for Nintendo for some time, all the way back to the N64. Now, if we fast forward to today's date, some chaps over at Neogaf had managed to find yet more reports that the NX version of Zelda Breath of the Wild may actually come on a game cartridge, and this is thanks to the US Trademark Office. Now, the really interesting thing is that other Wii U games do not specify cartridges, so it's kind of interesting that Breath of the Wild for the NX does specify cartridges. Now, of course, we don't know about other cross-platform games, but we do know Breath of the Wild will be on both the Wii U and the NX. Now, game cartridges is possibly not going to be how you remember them in, let's say, the NES, the SNES, the Genesis, or even the N64. They're probably going to be a sleeker design. Now, you're going to immediately say, well, why would they ever go to cartridges? What sense does that make? Well, one of the problems with cartridges back in the day, let's say in the N64 era, was space versus price. Essentially, it was extremely expensive to make large cartridges, and because of the memory technology back then, it meant that cartridge games just did not have the space available to them compared to the CD counterparts, which is one of the reasons that we saw multiple disc PlayStation 1 games being kind of normal because the price wasn't too bad. They could stick loads of FMV on there, and it also allowed much better quality audio. You had massive expansive worlds, and this of course eventually started to move towards DVDs and then finally Blu-rays. But memory carts, or rather game carts, don't really have those constraints anymore. If you were to do a quick Google or just go to Amazon and look at the price of like an 8GB memory card, it's basically free. And even moving up to something like a 32 or a 64 isn't that expensive, or even 128 is quite cheap now. So really, yes, there are definitely going to be pricing differences theoretically between the NX and the say the Xbox One version of a game, although maybe Nintendo will eat into that cost from their own profit margins, we don't know. But there are definitely benefits because it means that you're going to be able to transfer data much faster from the cartridge to the system. Theoretically, this means for you as a user that you're going to get more seamless game worlds. You're going to get to be able to enjoy things such as smoother loading times, perhaps a more persistent game world where loading is just not even part of the gaming experience. Once you've gone into the game, it's going to be like playing Mario 64 again. You go into a new room, and the game obviously does need to load some data from the cartridge into the system's RAM, but it's so seamless and quick that it's not too much of a big deal at all. And potentially, it could have some other uses as well. For example, for performance-related things, if developers find that the NX doesn't have maybe enough memory, they could potentially use the cartridge to just simply swap out data as necessary. It's going to mean texture streaming, for example, is going to be a lot smoother, and overall, it really means developers are going to have a very different time with the NX compared to the CD. Now, before we start either pulling out the pitchforks or cheering, depending on your perspective, there are, of course, a couple of things to remember. First of all, this is by no means confirmation that it's happening, and second, what difference it really makes to games, whether developers, especially third-party developers, really start making use of this. Let's say with titles which are appearing on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One and of course on the NX. We just don't know. It's possible the only real benefit could be faster loading times, and what difference, if any, in pricing is, well, remains to be seen. But it's definitely an intriguing possibility. So intriguing, but as usual with these type of rumours, just hold on to your butts. Unfortunately, the NX itself has been a bit of a mystery. There were a whole bunch of rumours going about that it wasn't that powerful. Then we got more rumours that it actually dwarfed the Xbox One and actually rivaled even the Neo. Then those rumours, according to other people, were actually completely inaccurate. More rumours popped up that it was fairly powerful, but not, let's say, as powerful as maybe what we'd hoped. Then Nintendo themselves have said that they're not going after the power game, so don't perhaps expect it to be able to compete with the Scorpios and the Neos. That's not what they're going for, but that doesn't really mean much. For example, you don't have to compete with, let's say, the Scorpio in terms of performance, but it can still kick butt. So, for example, it could still be as powerful as the original PlayStation 4, maybe a little bit more powerful. Just because they're not going after the performance area doesn't mean that inherently it's not going to be more powerful than the current systems that are out. It's a bit of a bizarre situation. Unfortunately, Nintendo have done a really good job keeping a lid on this one. I'm actually pretty damn impressed with that. And it makes me wonder how many NXs are in the hands of developers, because typically the wheels start falling off of the secret wagon when developers start getting hands on the stuff, because it's really difficult to just maintain a level of secrecy when, let's say, 20 people at Ubisoft know about it and 10 people at Electronic Arts know about it, and so on and so on and so on, because those individuals have less invested interest in keeping those secrets from their friends or from their co-workers or from their family members. Anyway, I've gone a little bit off the beaten path with this video, so hopefully you've enjoyed it. Sorry about any random traffic noises, by the way. It's really hot here in the UK, so it's not an ideal recording environment, but it is what it is. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Regardless, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.